Okay,
Tell me when I'm going.
It's actually going now.
Oh, okay. All right. We have finished polishing the plano side, and I have taken both the lens and the tool in the lap off from their spindles and flipped the lens over. Now, the one thing you got to be careful about, because both sides of the lens blank are now polished, make sure you don't put the wrong side, stick it on the tool or the spindle. And what I did, there was a scratch on the side that we're going to now work as the convex surface. And I used that. Now, of course, Ken and I will have written, you know, with ink, with a felt tip pen, the P side and the CV side and so forth. But of course, that may actually wear off. So be careful you do not put the wrong side stuck to the spindle, i.e. you want the side that you've just finished in polishing, the plano side stuck to the spindle. Otherwise, you'll obviously undo all the good work you did. So we're ready to go. We're going to use 220 carborundum because the curve we're generating is very shallow, and it should only take, based on my previous experience, 30 minutes or so, but you know, roughly, to generate the curve, and then we will show you how to test the focal length, measuring the curvature or the focal length of the tool, and we'll explain that as we go along, as explained in the manual. Unfortunately, the sun is not out today, so I could only start this process. So off we go. There's our lens. We're going to start generating the convex curve. Put some water. Oh, one other thing. Stick the ground side, the finely ground side of the tool onto the spindle. That will give you a little more grip because the other side, of course, as you can see, is still unground and totally polished. So off we go with 220. You sprinkle a little grit. Woo, that's a lot more than 9/10
Okay,
spray.
I was going to get a picture of that.
Okay.
There, okay.
Now, we do the 1/3 diameter stroke. You can hear the grinding. And as you're supposed to do, you rotate the spindle of the tool. The tool is on top. What will be the convex surface is on the bottom. And by going with a 1/3 diameter stroke, you will be generating the curve, which would be quite shallow for this long focal lens. Now you can, as the grinding occurs, as we say in the manual, you will hear the grinding get softer and softer, and the grit is being ground down to mud, and obviously once it gets all ground down, it's not doing anything. And again, don't worry about trying to make exactly 1/2 inch or 1/3 diameter stroke. This is always going to have some irregularity and randomness to it, which is fine because that helps to generate the surface we want. Now I'm going to do about 15 minutes because I like to work in 15 to 20 minute sessions. Your hands get tired. In the beginning, you may actually only want 10 minutes at a time. You've already done the polishing on the plano side, and you will have figured out about how much time you want to spend, because you do have to push hard. If you don't push hard, you're not accomplishing much. My good friend Ken, who's holding the camera, found that out on his first mirror when he was being very gentle, and it wouldn't polish. You're trying to create a lot of force on that thing, and of course it does wear your hands out. Now, I don't know if you can hear over the noise of the motor or not, but we're down pretty much to mud.
Why don't we show them the...
Well, there we are. Now I'm going to add some stuff. Now, unfortunately, it came out a little faster than I wanted it when I started. you'll leave the mud on the thing because that tends to hold the grit nice. Alright, off we go. Now you can hear again the strong grinding. Slowly but surely we are generating a convex curve on the lens and a concave. Of course, the tool is becoming concave. You can see it breaks down fairly fast. You'll notice the sound diminishes quite rapidly. Whoops. And don't spill the stuff, which I almost did. Don't put too much on there, otherwise you're just going to waste it. It's going to fall off the edges. By the way, if Ken can show the original set I used with the inverted drill, you'll notice that I have the catcher tub on there. Ken made this machine, and we don't really need to do that with this machine, but if you're using an inverted drill, which is the way I used to do this, it's necessary to have the catch tub on there, otherwise the grit gets all over the place, and you don't want that. Oh, as I should have mentioned clearly, after having finished with the polishing, I cleaned up everything and put new paper down. Now that was not important, but it's a good thing to do anyway, because we're going from polishing to grinding with a coarse grit. So obviously you're not worried about the grinding material being contaminated by the polishing material, because it wouldn't hurt anything at all. You can probably kill it or whatever you want until we get to the point. I've been grinding about 15 minutes. That's by this time my hands are getting tired. You may be able to do it longer, but I hate to say it, a few months ago I had operations on both hands, so my hands tire a little bit quicker than they used to. So now you hear that this is grinding way down, and you hardly hear any sound at all. So I've got 15 minutes, which is about what I can take. Now what I'm going to do is clean this off. And unfortunately the sun is not out, so we really can't test the focal length. But if the sun were out, I would guess we would probably be some, it might be measurable, it might not. So I will just clean this up. By the way, I'm leaving the mud on the lens because it is, whoops, wrong thing. Whoops, okay, I was going to cover that, but I forgot that I haven't got the right cover here. Yeah, keep these things covered. I'll just put this over the top of it for now, because you don't want dirt getting on, because dirt can cause scratches. So there you see the surface as soon as it dries off. Now I mentioned in the text, if your arm is clean and not sweaty, then that's one of the nicest ways to get the water off the lenses or the tools. If they're sweaty, then of course it doesn't work so well. So you can see it's very strongly ground. Now I don't know if I put, whoops. Yeah, you can actually see that there is, I don't think we can see it there, but there is a curve that is generating because there's light coming through.
Now remember, this is not the lens, this is
the tool.
Yeah.
Now, the tool, the focal length of this mirror is going to be roughly 1/4 the focal length of the lens. So when we get where we want to go, this will have a focal length that we'll measure with this yardstick, and there's the target, which it will the image of the sun. And what you'll do is, get this wet, and then you'll be moving this up and down until you get the best focus you can. As the focal, as the radius of curvature gets deeper, as the focal length gets shorter, you will get a better and better measurement. What we want is to, at the end of fine grinding, it'll be about 16 inches, and that'll mean that the lens has a focal length of about 60 inches, what we want. So unfortunately, because the sun is out, there's nothing more we can do, but this is how you're going to grind. And I will finish the grinding, the rough grinding and the fine grinding in the next day or so, and then we will start polishing, and when that's done, the main lens is done. So let the games begin.